Part 9, we're going to talk about increasing your volume of running and prioritizing recovery. Because if you skip the cooldown, you're going to run into issues that will crop up over time because we want to be in this for the long game. So first, we're going to talk about adding volume. We've discussed running drills, we've discussed the strength, we've discussed the running form, but how do you translate that into 5Ks, half marathons, and marathons? Well, the thing is, you focus on the quality first, because you can't scale if it's not quality first. You need to get the reps in, you need to get the quantity of those and practice with the running drills, the ankling, the single leg bounding, the backwards running. That way you get this feel for what it should look like, and you get into a safe rep, you can start to scale up. But the reality is that most people aren't strong enough to be able to run well for distance. And so you start off with what you can. You just shorten the distance. And so you start with 100-meter strides. And once you get to the point where you can do a 100-meter stride, at 70 to 80% of your total capacity, and you can repeat that for 6, 8, 10 reps, and you feel like it's not that strenuous and your feet don't feel that sore, then you start to expand that. And then getting out on a track is an excellent place to do that because you can start with 400 meters. You run a 400 meter, you rest for an even amount of time that it took you, and you repeat that. And once you can do 400s with even recovery for 6 and 8 reps, and it's not just destroying you, then you can start to increase the volume. You do 800s, and then you do miles. And so then you start to build up this capacity to be able to manage your form. And what you want to think about is this tempo type pace. So it's a little bit faster than what you would easily have a conversation at, but a little bit slower than a fast pace. This is where you're developing your capacity for your ceiling. What starts off at first as basic running drills and strength training turns into a capacity, a single focus of running, which is I want to maintain a high quality at a decently challenging pace. That branches off into 3 different sections of running output. So we have our strength or speed work. So that could be hill sprints, build up strides, running drills, or sprints. We have our anaerobic capacity, so that's going to be interval repeats. It could be fartleks, it could be track repeats, it could be timed intervals. And then third, we have a distance and endurance focus. So this is going to be a low output, low intensity. So I think it's a conversation pace or a little bit less than that. With that, what we're focused on is developing tissue capacity, the special strength to be able to be on your feet for 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 steps, and the capillary density of your feet and your overall body, your circulation. So you notice with each of these, there's the strength, the mitochondrial density, the capillary density, changes are happening to your body, and those happen as you build up to it. But the important part is that you don't skip ahead of what you're able to do. If you focus on the distance before you can do the sprinting and hold that, you're gonna run into issues where you're just butting right at your capacity. You want your capacity for what you could put out, and meaning your strength, your running form, your ability, to be high, so that everything underneath that doesn't really come close to scratching the surface. So that's going to be looking at 100-meter sprints, 400-meter sprints, and being able to do that pretty sufficiently. Then you can start to lower the intensity but increase the duration of those. You're starting to do intervals, and that's going to increase your cardiovascular capacity. Once you have the strength and cardiovascular capacity, the rest is just being able to stay in at a lower threshold and have the conversation with yourself and continue doing it. That's how you build up your capacity, but you have to think about building up from the quality first, then adding quantity to that. And the important thing is when you pair that with things that don't block feedback, so shoes that are 22 millimeter stack height or less that allow you to feel the ground, that don't compensate for weak feet, and feeling your body and paying attention to your joints, you're not going to get injured. You pair that with an effective focus on recovery. Of course, sleep and nutrition make a huge difference as well, but we'll touch on that in the competitive running aspect in part 10. But we're going to talk about recovery drills first, because the thing that people skip the most is that few minutes of recovery after they finish the run. It makes sense. You're tired, you've done the whole workout, you just want to go home and be done, you're sweaty. You don't want to sit down and take a few minutes to stretch out. It seems like a burden. But the point is to be able to have something you can do consistently and not make it complex. So I have 5 simple recovery drills that if you add them in there, they're going to make a huge difference. So the hand-foot glove, the post-tib massage, the half-kneeling tib stretch, the full splay plantar stretch, and the ankle circles. So we'll go over those each, but you can do these in 2 minutes. You can either get home, you can shower, take your shoes off, and then sit on the couch and do them. But you want to make sure you prioritize getting the tissue on your foot, ankle, and lower leg healthy. You don't have to worry about your upper body as much. The hip flexors, you do want to open those up on occasion, but that's going to be lumped into your strength training more. But if you focus on getting the foot, ankle, lower leg tissue healthy after having been on it for thousands of steps, it's going to make a huge difference. So first, let's start with the hand-foot glove. All you're going to do is focus on taking your fingers through the toes and just working to mobilize this. This is really valuable because it's going to get the tissue of your toes to start to spread apart and get your feet to start to open up and move. You've been on these for a few hundred to a few thousand steps, and that's going to add up. So all this tissue tends to get beat down like your hand's making a fist. We just want to open that up. Second, we want to think about a post-tibialis massage. You're going to take the tissue behind the tibia, so this is your bone that runs from the knee to the shin. You're going to just put your thumb in and massage this piece. You can put your thumb in there and do some ankle circles and hold that and feel the tissue going. This post-hip massage is going to be very simple, accessible, easy to do. Third, we're going to do a fascial pull ankle circle. So you're going to pull up on the lower leg and do simple ankle circles moving in each direction. So you're pulling up and creating tension like you're pulling a sock up on your foot and doing simple ankle circles. Fourth, we have our tibialis half kneeling seat. So I'm sitting here, I'm leaning down and putting pressure all the way through this tissue. It's running all the way through the front and top of the foot, and I'm leaning and putting some load through there to open that up. So showing the other side, I'm simply here, sitting back, I'm leaning, I'm just opening up through the top of this foot right there. And then fourth, we have our full splay plantar stretch. So the bottom of the foot, put the toes down on the ground. You can work one leg at a time. You can drive the knee down, try and get the heel back, but open up at the bottom of that foot. These are 5 simple exercises that you can work through. You don't even have to get on the ground. You can work on pieces, but if you could just start with getting the top of the foot to stretch out, the bottom of the foot to stretch out, and start to think about those 2 pieces, that's going to make a huge difference to start to get this foot healthy and functional after having been on it for thousands of steps. Most important part is that you don't skip the cool down. Take a few minutes to breathe, get your system to regulate, because that's starting the recovery for the next session. If you just go from run, heart rate's up, I'm just working and putting out effort, to just like hopping in the car, going home and just sitting down or going to the next thing, your body never gets a chance to shut off. Just taking a few minutes, even if you don't focus on those specific stretches, to open up your body, to transition out, it gets you out of this sympathetic state where I'm stressed and I'm fight flight, to the parasympathetic, I'm resting, I'm recovering, because that's going to help you get recovered for the next training session, whatever it is. But we'll focus on what it looks to be more competitive, both in mindset and your output, in part 10 to finish up the series.